walked in like he knew the trend. Mom said, wait, let me try again. I said, no, don't start with me. Then they both started rapping off beat. Dad said, who got Riz? Please don't say that. Mom said, that's skippity. Please don't say that. Dad said, Sigma mode. Please don't say that. Mom said, aura check. Please don't say that. Yeah. Dad came through with the socks and slides. Said I got drip, I got Gen Alpha vibes. I said, Dad, that's not how it goes. He said, bet I'm busting in my dad clothes. Mom in the kitchen with a wooden spoon. Said, this mac and cheese got skibbity bloom. I said, Mom, please leave it alone. She said, I'm in my Sigma cooking zone. Dad tried dancing in the living room. Knocked one shoe and almost hit the broom. I said, stop, you're losing aura fast. Dad said, aura, I thought that was gas. They heard one word, now they won't quit. Every single sentence, they remix it. I said, no. I said, facts. Then Mom yelled out, is that the snack tax? Dad said, who got Riz? Please don't say that. Mom said, that's skippity. Please don't say that. Dad said, Sigma mode. Please don't say that. Mom said, aura check. Please don't say that. Dad said, homework looking mid today. Mom said, period, and I go clean away. I said, wait, now you know too much. Dad said, I'm locked in with the Roblox touch. Mom said, I'm serving lunch with Riz. Dad said, let me phantom tax one chip. I said, no, that means you stole my food. Dad said, exactly, I'm in the snack tax mood. Mom took a selfie, said, aura plus 10. Dad photobomb and said, do it again. I said, y'all are embarrassing me. Mom said, good, that's parent energy. I said, Riz. They both said, Riz. I said, skibbity. They both said skibbity. I said Sigma. They both said Sigma. I said aura. They both said aura. I said stop. They said stop. I said please. They said please. I said never mind. They said we ate. Dad said who got Riz? Please don't say that. Mom said that's skibbity. Please don't say that. Dad said Sigma mode. Please don't say that. Mom said aura check. Please don't say that. Tax time. Please don't say that. Mom said I ate that up. Please don't say that. Dad said no cap on him. Please don't say that. Mom said we're locked in. Please don't say that. Now they say it every day, at the store and in the car. I said I taught them one word. Now they took it way too far. Dad said that's my aura. Mom said, Riz attack. I packed up my backpack. Said I'm never coming back.